Unlocking the Soul, hosted by Rob Simperman and produced by Simplify Films.
6. Two regression hypnotherapy pioneers. Casey, Roberts, and Selig, and for that matter Swedenborg and Nostradamus, became experts at entering trance states during their thousands of sessions. However, formal hypnosis techniques assist even the most novice subjects in doing similarly. As is often said, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. The only skill needed as a subject is to describe all images that flow through your mind without judgment. Dr. Newton describes how when subjects are in trance, their brain waves slow from the beta wake state down past the meditative alpha state into the theta range. Theta is hypnosis, not sleep, which is the delta stage. In theta trances, the conscious mind has access to all memory channels. It sees pictures and hears dialogue from the unconscious mind as literal observations. Subjects cannot lie, but may misinterpret what they see in their subconscious mind. And if the subjects were not truly in a trance and answering questions based on preconceived ideas or fantasy, they would be rife with contradictions, and information certainly wouldn't be so consistent across subjects. Newton and Cannon both found their subjects use similar words and graphic descriptions when discussing their soul experiences. Both agree that the spirit world, the world behind the veil of amnesia, is very difficult to express in limited human language. I suspect that has been the same challenge for thousands of years, resulting in many cryptic and metaphorical prophecies. Cannon and Newton's respective global organizations of practitioners are completely independent and can be thought of as two competing options for someone seeking subconscious healing and spiritual insights. To date, the Michael Newton Institute has record of over 55,000 life-between-life sessions, the method offered in over 40 countries in 25 languages by hundreds of trained facilitators. At the same time, over 100,000 students from more than 117 countries have taken Dolores Cannon's QHHT courses, each performing numerous sessions. While it was clear for many years that hypnosis could reveal glimpses of apparent past lives, the Newton-Cannon era took hypnotherapy much further. But how did they get started? 7. Dr. Michael Newton. Dr. Michael Newton was a counselor and a certified master hypnotherapist. He specialized in behavior modification for the treatment of psychological disorders. And like Roberts and Selig, he was a spiritual skeptic until he stumbled upon the therapeutic benefits of exploring past lives and especially the interlife memories of his patients. Spiritual knowledge first came to him in the late 1960s. Dr. Newton regressed a hypnotherapy client who was seeking the source of his shoulder pain. Newton was shocked when the subject graphically described a bayonet injury in the World War I Battle of Somme as the source. Newton later confirmed the numerous details provided with the keepers of the war records in London. Later, Dr. Newton regressed a depression patient to her root cause and was told that she had to leave behind her soul group to learn independence during her next incarnation, which is her current life. These experiences opened the door for him to explore the therapeutic benefits of such interlife memories. While regressing his clients, he discovered that it's possible to get descriptions of the spirit world from the perspective of the subject's superconscious mind. We'll explore those findings in depth, but the main themes were that the earth is a schoolhouse for soul development and a notoriously challenging one at that. There's a common series of steps between the time of death and the beginning of the next birth, the so-called interlife. Our significant life challenges are planned by us in consultation with our guides and a council of elders. And hypnotherapy lets us relive these memories for guidance and healing. Dr. Newton wrote 3 books summarizing his life between lives regression techniques and findings. The first book covers sessions with 7,000 people over 10 years, and the second covers another several thousand and new topics. I personally underwent the hypnosis approaches developed by both Michael Newton and Dolores Cannon. While different visualization techniques were used in each, I didn't notice any significant differences as the client. The Michael Newton approach makes use of a series of techniques to bring us into total relaxation and theta brainwaves. Visualize gradually moving back in time, such as walking down a staircase where each step represents a year of your life. Get to 1 year, then 6 months, 3 months, then in the womb. Then you're in a hallway where each door represents one lifetime. Open a door that feels important and describe what you see. When ready, fast forward to the death scene of that life using various techniques to help us feel safe. And after the death scene, explore the interlife memories. This includes illuminating conversations with guides, life reviews, planning discussions, and other activities we'll discuss soon in more detail. 8. Dolores Cannon. Next, let's meet our final primary spiritual information source, Dolores Cannon. Cannon was a Christian who attended church and taught Sunday school. Like Dr. Newton, she didn't believe in reincarnation or seek any spiritual insights when she learned hypnosis from her therapist husband. Then, in 1968, she and her husband discovered a subject could be regressed beyond their most recent birth to recall multiple past lives. She continuously refined her approach, conducting many thousands of sessions throughout the rest of her life. Cannon discovered more and more esoteric knowledge from the subconscious minds, or SC, of her subjects, and from other spiritual, physical, and even alien beings who spoke directly to her through her subjects. She even had entities speak to her through more than one client, resuming conversations across people who didn't know each other. Her approach uses different visualizations, such as riding a cloud to an important place. She put less emphasis on past lives and more on bringing forth the higher self or subconscious for answers. But those are subtle differences, and her conclusions overlapped with Seth, Casey, and Dr. Newton in particular. Cannon wrote 19 books, with others being published posthumously. They cover numerous metaphysical concepts, including past lives can explain lessons and karmic ties that have an effect on our present life. The subconscious mind can heal, if asked, sometimes with miraculous-seeming results. The subconscious can teach us about our life's purpose, the post-death process, and even the mechanics of the universe. She also delves very deeply into historical figures such as Jesus and Nostradamus, and explains extraterrestrials, the origin of life on Earth, and details numerous alien and spiritual civilizations. 9. Are these New Age prophets legitimate? A reasonable response to all this would be to assume that these sources of spiritual insights are frauds. So next, let's look for clues to support or refute that conclusion. First, none lived extravagant lives. Casey teetered on financial ruin his whole life. The majority of his readings were unpaid, as he did much of his work during the Great Depression and the World Wars. Roberts stayed in her Elmira apartment her entire career, while Cannon never left her small hometown in Arkansas. Sullig and Newton had professional careers before their spiritual endeavors, but showed no sign of living beyond the means of people with similar careers. They all worked hard. The 4 who have passed conducted their work until their final year of life, as long as their health allowed. None moved on to anything at all after their spiritual journeys, much less leisurely retirement. So if they're con artists, they're doing it wrong. They allowed spectators to observe sessions regularly, and 3 of the 5 had members of the public voicing their messages. They performed their work on stages, in classrooms, and on TV numerous times, where volunteer subjects were just as likely to be included in their books. The hypnotherapists taught others to perform their technique, which continued after their death, and as I mentioned, even I was able to help somebody recall past lives. A compelling fact to me is that 3 were basically atheists, and none of them believed in reincarnation when they got started. They had no obvious exposure to the idea, and all wrestled with accepting it. So that would make a pretty strange get-rich-quick scheme for them to choose, don't you think? And finally, their messages agreed with each other, and agreed more or less with how the ancient religious texts could be interpreted too. So draw your own conclusion, but none of this screams out fraud to me. Instead, it points to them tuning in to an ever-present communication phenomenon. So let's assume that they at least deserve our attention, if not our full belief just yet. So then, what are the messages that they and their countless subjects reveal about our souls? And how does any of this help humanity? Direct spiritual knowledge has the potential to answer all of life's fundamental questions. I'm talking about the real biggies. What are we in terms of our true nature as human beings? Why are we here? For a particular reason? Where did humanity come from, and where is it going? What is this God concept that seems to follow us around throughout much of human history and culture? So let's dive in and look at what our modern prophets can unlock for us. Jane Roberts' Seth, Edgar Casey's higher self, Selig's ascended masters, and our two regression hypnotherapists who represent thousands of perspectives all provide insights on the death and rebirth process. Learning from them about the death transition reduces fear and helps our eventual transition go smoothly. It also helps us make sense of our current life experiences. And Dr. Newton tells us, for those with a longing to know more, simple acceptance of life is totally unsatisfying. For some travelers, life's mysteries cry out for attention if being alive is to have any meaning. And Seth tells us, you are a particular manifestation of a soul, and it is sheer nonsense to think that you must remain ignorant of the nature of your own being.